Morning guys, Morning here. Today we are talking about strength stacking leveling. Well, strength stacking is something that is extremely popular right now, but I do think not everybody realizes it's as good for just pretty much every single build as one would think. Because strength stacking leveling is a thing that has been very meta in PoE1 with deck stacking and the Hollow Palm Jewel, because it was available on every single class as soon as you were getting one Jewel slot on the outer side of the passive tree, and then just equip a bunch of deck stacking equipment. Here it is even better, because no matter where you start, you can just pick strength nodes everywhere and then just travel to the very good nodes. Well, depending on where you start on the tree sooner or later, but you will only pick good nodes for your tree or for your character, which is very good. So the core of this leveling is the Pillar of the Cage God Long Waterstaff. I would socket it with 3 cold damage runes just to get a lot of flat damage in the early game, and then just pick a bunch of strength equipment. I will highlight throughout this video a bunch of different items in chronological order, which I am using for leveling. There of course are more items, but I didn't really see much point in upgrading my gear all the time or looking for the best in slot leveling items, because it just didn't matter. I just picked the first quarterstaff skill I liked and, well, used it up until I could switch to my main skill, Flicker Strike, at level 58. So, well, in this video you will see some highlights of the leveling, just some clips of the acts between Act 1 and Act 6, and I will put in a lot of the items and let's see what we are using. First of all, level 1. You will equip the Pillar of the Cage God. Well, have to use this item. Then Meginord's Girdle. It gives up to 50 or corrupted even more than 50 strength from the start, so this item you won't really get around, so always use Meginord's. Then Foxshade is a very good leveling vest. It gives dexterity, which does give you attack speed, and it does give movement speed, which makes you faster pretty good here. For the helmet I used the Greymake early. These might be a little more expensive if you want very good stats, but this one is very good for the first like 30 levels, and then you swap into a black Sun Crest. I did use an Icetomb also for leveling, because it gives quite a bit more resistances than the Foxshade, but it does make us a little slower. Later on you want to swap to Titanrot Cataphract, but you might only do this very late in like Act 5 or 4, probably Act 5 or 6, because you need a lot of strength for this to actually be better than Icetomb or Foxshade. However, you might just skip this step if you do not want to play a strength stack in the late game and just use this for leveling. For the glove slot, we just use any rare until we can use Jarngreipr. These are pretty decent with attack speed and some flat fizz. You could probably just get better rares, but I had these lying around and, well, they did give pretty good stats, and the attack speed is equivalent to up to 20 dexterity, so you can just convert stats into other stats there, if you know what I mean. Then later on we just swap to very good rares that give strength, dexterity, and some flat damage. I do also like to have some leech on them as well. You can use the rings for that too. For the gloves we start out with some movement speed boots, and then swap into Wanderlust at level 11, because they give movement speed and dexterity. At level 27 you want to change to Wondertrap, because they give strength, dex, intelligence, and movement speed. Very good boots for a very long time. Just keep on for pretty much the entire time. Then for the rings, we just swap through a lot of different rings throughout the levels. Swapping your ring slot is pretty much the most important part of the leveling, because they give flat damage and stats, and pretty much is your best changing or evolving slot over time. Later on you can even swap to Reach Ring, which gives a whole bunch of power for one slot and will pretty much make you a god. Then what I am using also is the Polcirkeln ring, though this one is slightly more expensive if rolled well, but it makes your Herald of Ice, well, absurdly good clearing. So I do think the investment is worth it, and you should be able to sell it after leveling 2. So if you want very, very strong clear, use the Polcirkeln in one of your slots, but it does take away from your single target, so you might want to use another ring for swapping into delete bosses. On the tree, no matter where you start, you want to travel towards bottom beef cluster and then go for brute strength. These nodes are just very, very efficient, and you want to travel down there. If you don't feel like you have enough gold to respec later, just go for your planned endgame tree and skip all clusters and just pick strength or dexterity instead. I would always go for strength. Only if you feel like you're attacking too slow, go for dexterity. Then if you are at the bot side, I would advise to go for the dex nodes proficiency, Falcon technique and enhanced reflexes, either after going for the strength stats or if you are coming from the top right before going for the strength stat. Well, of course, if you're starting in the range area, you could go for the dexterity nodes first also. This really doesn't make too much of a difference, but these nodes are very good, but where you travel is just where you hit first, so just pick those as fit. This pretty much is everything you need to know about strength stacking leveling, so if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments, and thanks for watching.